Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. If it hasn't been apparent to you before, it needs to be apparent to you right now. There's no way that we can allow Kamala Harris to become president and Tim Walz to become vice president. Last Thursday, Oregon Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat, introduced a bill that would expand the Supreme Court by adding 6 more justices. The bill, called the Judicial Modernization and Transparency Act, would also force justices to have their tax returns publicly disclosed. According to a press release from Wyden's office, the bill would, quote, restore balance amongst the 3 branches of government, increase transparency to improve the public trust in America's courts, and modernize the courts to ensure greater access to justice for more Americans. Well, I don't even know what that even means. But anyway, this is let me read this to you. In the wake of recent rulings upending decades of precedent and evidence of unethical behavior, Wyden's Judicial Modernization and Transparency Act would modernize the courts by expanding the Supreme Court to 15 justices over three presidential terms, prevent political inaction by bottling up nominations for the Supreme Court, and restore the appropriate defense to the legislative branch by requiring a supermajority to overturn acts of Congress, among other modernization provisions to improve access to justice. They keep saying this. The bill would also implement a much needed reform to bring more accountability to the Supreme Court recusal process and improve transparency around potential financial conflicts and other unethical behavior. You know what? It's so funny. For when years the left couldn't win in the legislature, but they managed to win in the courts. They would have think about this. When Roe v. Wade went through, they would have never been able to write a bill that supported the murder of children in utero. They would have never been able to do that. Never been able to do that. And now, with some years gone by, and now because they lose that battle, now they want to change the rules. Now they want to change the game because what they had before didn't work. When I hear women on the left say that men shouldn't be making these decisions for women. Well, first of all, there weren't any women on the court when Roe v. Wade went through. It was all men. It's all men, right? So men made the decision that was mistakenly used for women to kill their children in utero because they were an inconvenience. Let's just say it. These people want abortion because that negates their bad decision making. Let's just say it. That's what it is. Nothing else. They want abortion on demand without question because it covers up their bad decision making. They sleep with the wrong guy. They participate in this hookup culture. And now you're knocked up and you don't think that you can make it through school. Well, you can't make it through as easy as that. That's for sure. That's why. No one's talking about, no one's ever talked about that you can't have an abortion or you can't end a pregnancy if the mother's life is truly in danger medically. Because what we're finding out, is that that's such a small, infinitesimal percentage of the people who have abortions. Most people have abortions because the studies have said simply because the baby is inconvenient. Now, I had this whole conversation with Claude AI, and Claude AI sort of balked at the word inconvenient. No, when you say I won't be able to finish, college or high school, that's life. So you don't finish high school, so you get your GED. So maybe you don't finish college now. Maybe you finish college later. So that's inconvenient to your timeline. Inconvenient. So you don't have a supportive partner. Yeah, so you picked the wrong dude to get pregnant by, right? Yeah. Maybe someone will come around who will help you with you and your child, or maybe you'll be able to do it on your own. So right now it's going to be tough, so it's inconvenient. Maybe you don't have the financial backing right now, so it's going to be really hard. None of these reasons are enough to say, well, I got an idea. I'll just kill the child, and that way I don't have to deal with deal with it. None of that's good enough. So what the left want, what the Democrats want is if they can increase the court, what they hope to do is first of all win this election and get 5 more justices. So now we have a total of 14, right? Instead of 9. Oh, by the way, the Constitution doesn't say how many justices you can have. There's no constitutional amendment that says you have to have a certain amount unless this passes. There's no law that says it has to be 9. It could be 8. It could be 4. It could be 3. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. Anyway, the Supreme Court, they say, is in crisis and bold solutions are necessary to restore the public trust. Well, the public trust isn't the Supreme Court hasn't dealing with the public trust. The Democrat Party that has lost the public's trust. Wyden said in a statement, more transparency, more accountability, and more checks on power-hungry Supreme Court. Like I said before, they were fine with the Supreme Court making decisions in their favor. Now the Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade, which Judge Ginsburg said eventually that would happen. They were okay. They were fine with the court when the court allowed gay marriage. They were fine with the court. Court was fine. We love the court. The court is on our side, right? Law is on our side. Justice is on our side, except when it goes against them, right? Earlier this year, Town Hall covered how President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris announced that they backed several Supreme Court quote reforms that included adding more justices and instating term limits. Now, here's the deal: this now listen carefully. What they want to do is put term limits on Supreme Court justices. What they don't want to do is put term limits on U.S. rep or senators. Wonder why that is. Wonder why that is. So if things don't go their way, they can always replace Supreme Court justices. What is in the Constitution is that the Constitution says that these are terms for life. They're terms for life for a reason, for consistency's sake. That's why. You need to have one branch of the government that is consistent, especially the one having to do with law. If you're going to be a nation of laws, then that's the part that has to be the most consistent. You can switch the president out every 4 or 8 years because the president is supposed to abide by the law, which doesn't move. You can switch out the Congress the Congress every 2 years because the law stays the same and they're supposed to follow the law. You can switch out a senator every 6 years because it doesn't matter because they have to follow the law and the law stays the law all the time, which is why the law can't move around willy-nilly crazy and be political. And if you start adding term limits to the court, it would immediately become political. I think the Democrats just have to suck it up. What do you think? My name is Will Lawson. This is the Morning Report. We'll see you when we see you. Bye now.